just want to be vulnerable for a second and share with you guys a piece of my story, my most troubling time in my life. And this started back in 2018. And in 2018, I was engaged to be married. I was pastoring at a church. I felt like things were looking up for me. It was a great season in life. I was getting everything that I had sought in the previous season. It felt like I was truly blessed. It felt like things were coming together. And suddenly, I was no longer on top of the hill. Matter of fact, the marriage that I was about to partake in a month before the wedding, we decided to call it off. And I think it was more of a I decided to call it off. And even though it was me calling it off, it was still just as painful because I was one of them people. I wasn't getting married just for the fun of it. Like, I truly loved the person in front of me, but I felt like it was the wrong decision to make. But it still hurt nonetheless. I'm talking about I was crushed. And that was the first part of the landslide. So after that mudslide, I was like, yo, there is no way that life is going to bring me something that is going to add on to this hurt. This is enough. I feel buried at this point. But lo and behold, like I said, when you are hurting or when I'm hurting, life tends to say, I'm going to give you something to cry about, even though I am already crying. I'm already at the three chest cries. Please don't give me anything else. And a week later, after I called out the engagement, a guy who I won't say any names, but he was like a father figure to me, and he was the leader of the church that I was pastoring at. And he sat me down, and he was like, "Yo, man, I'm gonna have to let you go. You're gonna have to step down." And as soon as he said it, I'm not like a public crier of sadness, but I couldn't even hold the tears that were inside of me. I just began to cry, and I'm pleading with him like, "Yo, I can do this. Like, I'm okay. I can make it through." And I'm debating like, hey, like I don't have any sin issue. I haven't cheated. I haven't had any like sexual immorality, anything. Like, all I did was call off an engagement, and to him it wasn't that simple. He simply told me like, hey, you've lost authority. And even that statement alone, like, it hurt me because it's like, how do I lose authority in the eyes of God? And I had a lot of questions. And I know this man loved me. I know he cared for me. I cared for him, still care for him, and I know the same is true for him. But he asked me to step down. So the marriage that I was about to walk into, the ministry that I was in, I had to all leave that at the table. I said leave. I didn't have no choice. Life was spanking me. And I was crushed. I'm talking about broken down. And initially, I decided like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna try to push through this. But I found myself aching in times where I shouldn't have been aching. I'm playing basketball, but yet I'm aching. I'm swimming, but yet I'm aching. I'm at a celebration, but my I have no joy or celebration within me. And I was doing the opposite of what I said. I was not counting it joy. I was counting up the trouble that I was in, the pain that I experienced. And that's the worst thing that you can do. If you don't count it joy, then by nature, you are subtracting, and you're beginning to count all the negative things in your life. I want to repeat that. You are subtracting, and you're beginning to count all the negative things. A negative plus a negative is only a positive in math. That does not equal in life or in the kingdom of God. It just doesn't. It's bad math. And I thought I would never get out. I thought I was stuck here forever. I wish I could tell you guys that after 2020, those 2 years, I got back up and I was on my feet. But that is not what took place. Not even close. I began to slide even farther. I thought I had slid as far as I was gonna go, but instead of sliding, I was getting buried. I was burying, digging a grave, and I just began to stray away from the position that I knew to be of healing, of the position that I knew that would be restorative, and I began to do things that actually put me in the position of pain. So although the pain that I initially experienced was from, I would say, outside sources and some things that I couldn't control, the pain that compounded was pain that I put myself in. Yeah, I know that today. It was pain that I put myself in. And I just kept building on that pain. And before long, if you position yourself in pain, pain will feel like it's permanent. So I want to give you guys one more story. And the story I felt like was super befitting because it was actually from the mentor that I spoke about that was over me as I was in ministry. And he used to often teach the story about Alcatraz. If you're not familiar with Alcatraz, look it up. It's a prison that's out in the Bay Area, and the prison was deemed inescapable. And it was inescapable because it was on an island, and even if you got outside the building to get to land, you would have to swim miles in this frigid cold water, and you were presumed to die. But but there is a documentary that you should definitely check out. In the documentary, it speaks of these three men that actually escaped from Alcatraz, or at least presumed to have escaped from Alcatraz. Some think that they're dead, but a body, not even one of the three bodies was ever discovered. So I kind of am on the side of these guys escape. And it's a phenomenal story about how these guys for months built this plan. They were hiding behind sheets and things of that nature. And they built this plan to actually escape. And it involved them using a spoon to dig between the walls. And they did this for months. And they dig between the walls, and then they escape through the walls into the sewage system, get on top of the roof, and then they're in the water on this makeshift raft that they built out of like raincoats. And like I said, bodies were never found, so a lot of people believe that they actually got to freedom. And I share that because these guys, they dug through the wall, and in order to actually get out of the prison, they had to go through the sewage system. The sewage system. And if you're thinking about the sewage system and you think about it like I think about it, it's just they had to dig through a bunch of crap in order to get to freedom. I would like to say to you guys, this is the same that is true if you're in a place of pain, if you're in a place of chaos, if you've compounded pain onto your life, then in order to get out of the prison of pain, the only way to freedom is to actually dig through the crap. You got to dig through all of the crap, and that's nasty. That is nasty work. But if you can get on the other side of that crap, your life, my life, our lives will be one of freedom. One where there's no more bars, there's no more binding. You are truly free to experience your life as God designed it to be. It's just going to take you digging through the crap. It's just necessary. It sucks. It sucks. I'm going to tell you, you know this to be true. They tell you this in therapy when you first start. It is true. If you want to heal, it will probably get worse before it gets better. I won't even say probably. It will get worse before it gets better because you're digging through the crap. You're going backwards to get through all the crap that you compounded in your life in order to get to a place of freedom. And I want to do another story on this and another follow up on this to give more depth and clarity. But for the sake of this, I want to tell you guys just a couple or a few points on how you can get free. One, I want you guys to be reminded this is Psalms 147 and 3. And it says that he heals the brokenhearted and he binds up their wounds. That's one letting you know that in this life you will have a broken heart. In this life there will be cuts, there will be beatings that you take, but Jesus will bind up those wounds. So my number one is lean on him, trust in him, seek him. If you don't know him, ask, seek, knock, so that the door can be open. That is going to be your ultimate place of healing. Secondly, you should try to find a therapist. And therapy is one of them things. It's tricky for me because it's so expensive. I feel like therapy should be like a BOGO deal. Like I go one and get one free. Like it's that essential. Like just give us some coupons or something like that. I have no idea why therapy is so high. But if you can, if there's a place, research, find out people that can supplement your therapy calls, things of that nature. But therapy will be extremely helpful. And my last one is community. You have to seek out people that you're truly close to, and you have to give them the information that, hey, look, I'm on the struggle bus. And the chances are they already know. They've been watching you. They might not have said anything, but they've been watching you. But you just need to open up and tell them that. And I say that for friends, but honestly, the only way all three of these can actually begin to work out some stuff in you to get you to freedom is if you're transparent. Be transparent with the Lord. Be transparent with your therapist. Be transparent with your community. If you do that, then I guarantee you, you will be on the edge to freedom. It's grabbing the spoon and digging through the wall. And you got to keep digging piece by piece, piece by piece, piece by piece. And even when you build a hole big enough to begin to get through, then you got to dig through the crap. But if you can get through the crap and actually get out into this place of freedom, it is worth it to then begin to get out of the prison of pain. This is the Black Sheep TV. I thank you for listening. If this is content that you like, if this is content that you need, if this is content that somebody else needs, I ask you to like and subscribe. I plan on dropping a video every week. Please, please know that there is no man left behind. Jesus will always go for the one and leave the 99.